Hey everybody, welcome back to the Xone. On this episode, we're going to be digging deep with Josh Dewell from A Fractured Thought. We end up talking about the best slam metal and deathcore coming out of Southern California right now, as well as what bands and artists are currently doing to effectively market themselves amid streaming platform services like YouTube, Spotify, and the like. And finally, toward the end of the show, we discuss overcoming personal adversity like substance abuse and addiction, and where to find those resources for those who are currently struggling. So here you go. Enjoy episode 2. So we're going to focus on A Fractured Thought for the time being. So you guys just dropped Double Standard, and that was released or debuted on YouTube back in March. How has the reaction been to that single that you guys dropped?
Well, so far the reaction's been actually quite phenomenal. I mean, it's not like the best, but it's been going really well. Like, people know the song, people scream the song when we play it live. So that's cool. Especially for like a first release, like the band's been around for a little over a year.
Mm-hmm.
So for our first release, yeah, having people kind of interact and scream to it it's cool. I like it. I dig it.
Awesome. And right now, your guys' lineup, I guess you guys like went through a little bit of a lineup change. I guess you guys got like a new bass player, Carlos?
Yeah, we just got Carlos. Carlos is actually, I'm going to do a shameless plug, but he's the vocalist of a band called Within Reach.
Mm.
And he used to fill in for my old band, CDP, Caligula Dance Party. He used to fill in for us on guitar. And when we lost Daniel, our bassist that was on the recording,
Mm-hmm.
when we lost him, Carlos came in and filled in for us. And he filled in for us at Summer Slaughter, and then that night he agreed to be the permanent bass player.
All right. Going like, if you had to compare Caligula to A Fractured Thought, like, what are some similarities as far as like, what's the writing process? Like, how is it different? Or performing live? Like, what are some differences and similarities between the two?
Like, I love you, but you're an asshole for this. So, similarities and differences. Well, similarities, when we write, we all write together, like, in the studio. Like, well, we in CDP, we had a garage that we practiced in,
Mm-hmm.
and we all wrote together in there. With AFT, we, like, rent a studio and practice in there, but it's the same thing. We all write together. But I would have to say that the best part about writing with AFT is our guitarist, Matt. He does a lot of the writing. He doesn't do it all. He usually does like the basic like skeletons. He's our lead guitarist, not main. But he'll write like everything and then send it over on like a Guitar Pro tabs, so everyone else can start getting like the feel for it, and then we come into the studio and write it together and get it solidified. So that makes it a lot smoother, especially having tabs just because even if we put a song to the side and we say, hey, we're going to finish this later, we have it. You know what I mean? It's tabbed out.
Mm-hmm.
It's ready to go. CDP didn't do that. Not knocking their style, you know what I mean? Not at all, but the way AFT writes is nice. I mean, we're about to, we just got like the drums tracked for the EP. We just got the final mix back, and we're already, because of the fact that we're using Guitar Pro, we're already on to the second EP.
Oh, so you guys are writing one EP ahead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
we're, I mean, since we're talking, we have our EP already written, getting ready to be released. We have our second EP being written. We have 2 songs out of the 5 that we want for that. And then we're already looking at like how we're going to do the album. So
as far as performing material live, like, are you guys trying to stay consistent with just playing music that you guys are going to debut on the EP that you guys are getting ready to drop, or are you guys debuting material for the next EP as well?
Well, right now, I mean, as I was telling you earlier before we were recording, we're coming on to our our sixth show. And right now we're still playing the material that's going to be put onto the first EP. Now in February, so I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm going to. We have a show in February with Ingested and Visceral Disgorge. And at that show is when we're planning on releasing newer material. So, you know, we have 2 new songs that are pretty much done. The main part that's not done is my vocals. So, you know, I just got to figure out more lyrics to write.
All right. So I guess people got to be patient. I'm not going to say you were the first to say it here. I know I'm not necessarily sure if you wanted to debut, but for fans out there of Aft, you guys also have a show coming up on October 26th. Do you want to give details about that?
Yeah, actually I have it pulled up right here. So on October 26th, we're playing up in Apple Valley. It's our first headliner. It's at a new venue called Forte. Off of, look at the address. It's off of 22633 Outer Highway 18 South, Apple Valley. You know what I mean? So that's cool. That's rad.
Nice. I feel like I've been to that venue, but it was a different name when I was there. It was a bar and girl. I can't remember what the name of it was. But if it's off of Highway 18, I feel like it's over by. There's a Valero gas station around that area, and like a El Pollo Loco, I think.
Dude, I don't know. I've played Apple Valley before when I was in Caligula.
Mm-hmm.
We played up there at a place called Fat Jack's, and it was like a little bar venue type place. It was honestly one of like the raddest shows I've ever played, because like the people up there in Apple Valley, like the high desert, they don't get a lot of shows, so when they do, they get really hyped up, and the pit goes off, and the crowd, it doesn't matter who you are, they're just kind of really responsive to it. So, you know, it made me happy that one time that we played up there, so I'm kind of stoked to go back again.
I don't know, I feel like in this day and age, I feel like there are bands kind of like scattered throughout every part of the United States now, or in the world. But I feel like back in the day, like the 90s, there was a huge, vibrant music scene up in that, like, out in the high desert, you know. It's not there anymore, but...
No.
Yeah. I think people are happy in general to have decent bands come through their, you know, small neck of the woods, you know, so...
well, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to say at least 90% of this world enjoys live music.
Oh, yeah. So, I feel like that's becoming a more valuable commodity, especially in the day of, you know, streaming and, you know, just instant access to everything.
Well, here's a secret, right? So I know you're in a band, and I'm really proud of you, because that band looks like it's doing very well. But for live music, the only way, if anyone who listens to this, if you want to make money doing music, live music is the way to go. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way you're going to make anything these days, is because everyone streams now, right? Like, back in the 90s, it was, you know, CD sales.
Mm-hmm.
Those still help, but nowadays, like, you have to play live shows and sell merch, and that is my little secret to anyone out there, is have merchandise to sell at a live show. Because without that, there's nothing. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you're just playing to just play, then there's the fun in that. You know what I mean?
And I kind of have this like own little theory in my head. I feel like, you know, the internet, you know, has kind of like, it's been a blessing and a curse for pretty much all, you know, everyone in this millennial generation, pretty much in the past 20 years, in this huge boom that has happened, you know. And there's just so much instant gratification. Like, everyone can get everything that they want, but at a cost, you know what I mean? When the arts are paying the biggest cost of that, it's people have to evolve and adapt. Just like you were saying, that like CD sales started declining in the early 2000s. People had to adapt, and I guess bands kind of tried to corner the market and start performing live and selling their own merchandise. What was I gonna say? For like aspiring, people that are coming up, like entrepreneurs, people that are like trying to like start bands and kind of get hip to a lot of this stuff, like what, from like personal experience from playing live, like what are do's and don'ts as far as like trying to start a band? And if you think you're going to go in there and make like money, is that necessarily something that people aren't going to do starting out? Would you agree with that?
I mean, no, you can make money starting out. My biggest do's and don'ts, and I tell this to bands all the time. I get hit up, I get messages, I get hit up at like shows. People are like, hey, what do you guys do? My biggest thing I tell people is just remember that the labels, like, you don't need to sign to a label anymore. A label is basically just a fucking loan. You know what I mean? Now that we have, online distributions, we can run our own. If you have like a big cartel or something of that nature, to run your like band merch through, you know what I mean? That's like something that labels offer you, but you can do it on your own for free. Just same with, like for us, we use DistroKid. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah,
that's basically you get all of your like listening content on all of your streaming platforms, right?
Dude, yeah, DistroKid is the shit.
Are you plugging DistroKid?
I'm 100% plugging them because I ran with CD Baby for with CDP. We went with CD Baby, and they didn't give us any of our money. DistroKid, you pay them up front like $30 or whatever, $39 to push your shit out, and that's it. And then any money that comes in after that is all yours. You know what I mean? It's super dope. It's super easy. It takes like 10 minutes to get everything set up. You can push your lyrics out onto Apple Music and all that. But anyways, enough of that. I guess the main point I'm getting at is for any band that's starting out is just do it yourself. There's money to be made. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's always money out there. And if you're not going for money, that's fine. But when you're trying to get into the scene, the biggest thing is don't stop. When you play a show to nobody, don't
just
stop.
Take it as practice. That's the best way to think about it.
Dude, it's a live practice. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
And then if you play a show to hundreds of people, thousands of people, whatever it is, don't let that get to your head. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bands out there that'll play that like one show that's like amazing, huge turnout, and then they go, oh my God, I made it. Don't do that. You didn't make it. Shut up. Just keep playing your music. You know what I mean? If you're not in it for the heart, then you're not in it at all.
Would you say that there's a lot of competition in the Southern California like music scene as far as like slam or metalcore is concerned?
Yeah, it's bad. We actually, which is stupid that it's like this, but there's a lot of talk about it on like social media. The competition out here, it's not competition. It's like there's just a lot of hate.
Mm-hmm.
So like with us, we came out the gates, and we got a lot of, I guess, local popularity like real quick, and people started hating on us. And it's like, why? You know what I mean? Why are you hating on another band doing something else? Like the way when I grew up out here, it was the bands all kind of worked together, and everything was like a family. And now it's all about egos and yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like just business sense in general, like, or courtesies, like up here in the Richmond scene, I feel like we have town hall meetings for bands that are performing in the Hampton Roads area as well. And we all try to like work together and coordinate shows so that we can help out with ticket sales, coordinate all these big shows so we can get a good cross section of bands to perform, bring in a bigger draw, right? And I don't know, I feel like if people can come with an understanding like that in mind, I feel like it kind of benefits everyone more so. But I feel like people who aren't kind of hip to that, I feel like they may be threatened you know, because it's like an existential thing. They're like, oh, you know, I may not be bringing enough to the table, so I have to hate on these people's success because I feel inferior at this point. You know what I mean?
Check this, right? I'm not going to name names, but with my old band, right, that band as well came out of nowhere and got like a lot of attention real quick. And there's other bands that we were friends with right away that turned around, and the second we, I guess, surpassed them, right, in a sense, right, we passed them up, and then they got mad. They started telling their friends, like, hey, even if you're a fan of that band, don't go or else we can't be friends anymore.
Which is like, that just sounds like gaslighting or just toxicity, like 101. I mean, well, yeah, if people are like that and they're your business contacts, I probably wouldn't want to be a business contact with them.
Not at all. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. In my opinion, it's just fucked. Like, why would you do that? I'm sorry for cussing on your...
No, you can say whatever you want, man.
Goddamn right.
Dude, that's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of this platform. You can say whatever you want. No one's going to censor this. It's whatever.
Well, I mean, in case anyone who listens later on, if they don't know this already, we're family. And our families...
We're all fucked up. We got rap sheets. We're criminals. We're detractors of society. We're just not good. So don't listen to this podcast. No. Everyone's good in a sense. It just depends. You know what I mean? It's case by case. Oh, but... it depends what side of the family tree you're on. Oh, I got you.
While I'm out here smoking cigarettes and not breathing, it's fine.
Oh my god. That was the next thing I was going to say. If, as a vocalist, you have a routine, but apparently not.
I actually do.
Really?
I actually do, yes.
Care to share?
Yes, I'll share it away. Before a show or recording, I do my best to not smoke. I might smoke like maybe one and a half cigarettes before I go in, like, and that's like hours beforehand. Same with the show. Because smoking, vaping, all that shit, dude, it fucks you up. You know what I mean? But my favorite thing in the world is traditional medicinal, right? Remember that name, traditional medicinal throat coat. I do excuse me, I'm trying to set up lemon echinacea throat coat with like 6 goddamn spoons of honey.
You're talking about real honey, or you're talking about it's a flavor?
No, the lemon echinacea is the flavor of the throat coat, but then I put in like actual honey.
Yeah, like honey's actually a good natural antibacterial.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, it's what I use before every show, before every time I record, before practice. It doesn't matter, dude. I eat that shit up.
All right.
That is like a lifesaver.
Did you ever go through a phase, or do you know any vocalists that are like particular about their diet?
Yes. I didn't do it. I probably should. But I know dudes that, like, before shows, they would eat, like, spaghetti noodles, like, not with red sauce on it, but they put, like, butter and garlic on it or something like that. That would help them out, like, day of. I know a lot of guys that eat, like, salads all day. I've done it once, the salad thing, like, all day, and, yes, it did make me feel better, but... I'm not one to give a shit about how I feel, so. Yeah.
That's a commitment, eating salad all day long. You're talking about, like, just salad, like, 3 meals.
Yes, and that's a lot, dude. It's really good for you, don't get me wrong.
That's a lot of water content.
Well, I mean, it was more like the spinach salads.
Oh, yeah. It's
still a lot of water content, but I mean, it's different. It's not like what is that, iceberg or?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Yeah, I know people that do that. I've done it once. I don't recommend it unless like if that's you, then do it. But I do recommend not drinking a lot of like sodas and caffeine beforehand. Like I don't do that either. I'll drink maybe like one energy drink or something like that in the morning, like before the show, but not like right beforehand because the carbonation fucks up your throat and it's not good for you. Like I know people that go on stage and drink like beers and sodas while they're on stage, and that's so bad for your vocal cords. It's like the worst. You know what I mean? If you want to like sound good for that moment, cool, you might sound good for that moment, but longevity, you're not going to sound good.
Do you have any like personal accounts of people that you may know, or maybe speaking for yourself of like actually suffering or your performance suffering from not heeding other people's advice like you're talking about?
Yes, myself. So I'm talking about like not drinking alcohol beforehand, and then I've been on stage shit-faced. And I can say right now that, yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, I've had my throat swell up afterwards, where it was like uvula and throat, everything was just swollen. And, you know what I mean? I was on like a little mini tour, and it was like impossible to scream the next night. It was something else, man.
What would you say is the best thing for recovery?
Well, back to the original topic of throat coat. Throat coat is the best recovery.
All right.
Dude, I'm doing so many goddamn plugs.
Yeah.
You know, like...
This is gonna work, dude. This is gonna work wonders for you, dude. I feel like you planned this ahead of time.
I did. I didn't, but like I'm just gonna claim that I did.
All right. Speaking of plugging, and to transition away from detractors and haters, you guys have another show coming up on November 8th at 1720. I feel like you guys got a lot of love for 1720. I was going through your guys' Instagram, 1720. It looks like a fucking great venue, though. And you guys are supporting Fit for an Autopsy, Rivers of Nile, Lorna Shore, and Dyscarnate. And I'm going to plug Dyscarnate because they're fucking sick.
That's what everyone keeps saying.
They're awesome.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, they're great, man.
You know, but everyone keeps saying they're amazing, so I'm stoked to play with them. Real quick, dude, Rivers of Nile, right? I've never listened to them before, but my band has, and they were super awesome to us at same with Lorna Shore. They were both really nice bands and like people to be around at Summer Slaughter because we played with them, you know, at 1720 at Summer Slaughter. But anyways, Rivers of Nile, they told us not to put our gear on stage.
Yeah, they let you guys use their backline, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we were setting up our gear. We brought everything into the venue. We were getting ready to load it up, and their guitarist came over and said, "Hey, don't put your shit on stage. Just use ours." And that to me, like, that is love within the music scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't know us, but for you to say, to like, go ahead and use your shit, because they wanted us to have more room to move, which was, you know what I mean? It's rad. And then the dudes of Lorna Shore, mainly their drummer, right? Like their vocalist, who's really cool. Like I sat outside and talked to him afterwards, and he watched part of our set. But their drummer, I saw him not side stage. He was out in the crowd, but to the side, like sitting on a chair, and he watched every opening band. And he made it a point to come talk to us afterwards, and that made me, like, you know, these are bigger signed bands, and the fact that they were like making a point to like check out locals, that's something that sits, it sticks with you. You know what I mean?
And I take it this isn't your first time seeing Fit for an Autopsy either.
No, it's my second time. The first time I saw them was at Chain Reaction. They're actually like a heavy influence on like our band. Like they influence a lot of what we do.
Because they're fucking awesome. I mean, for anyone that's never heard Fit for an Autopsy, I implore you to go listen to Fit for an Autopsy.
They are, they're something else. Like, they're not just deathcore, they're not hardcore, they're not just death metal. They have everything. And I mean everything.
Yeah. There's a big groove element to their sound. I caught them. They were supporting Suicide Silence when they were out doing their You Can't Stop Me tour. What was the name of that album? I can't remember. The first one with Hernan Hermida when he left All Shall Perish.
I don't know what the fucking album was called.
I don't know. That was a good tour cycle, though. And that was my first time I ever saw them, and they killed it. They were awesome.
They're great. They were great. And I'm excited to go and hang out with the dudes. Or at least attempt to hang out with them. I don't know how it's going to be that night. I'm hoping that we can go and sit in like the backstage area and kind of kick it and talk, because networking is a fucking key element to what we're doing. You know what I mean? And that's like a tip to anyone, like to you, to anyone that you know out there. If there's any kind of tour package coming through, whether it be a small tour package or a big tour package, network. You know what I mean? Talk to anybody and everybody you can. And that's what we're going to do.
I feel like that is the greatest piece of advice that like you can give to anyone for coming from any type of background. It's pretty much not what you know, it's who you know.
Well, and here's the crazy part. Ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
They're just people too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're not anything special. Like, yes, like you might meet people that are in bands that that you might like with Fit for an Autopsy, right? Like we as a band collectively look up to them. But at the end of the day, they're just people. You know what I mean? I've hung out with people that were in bigger bands and have done shit that I've always dreamed of doing, but I don't treat them anything other than what they are, a human being. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is they try to like suck the dicks of these people when they don't need to. You know what I mean? Like, how would you feel if everyone was running up to you and like trying to worship you? You wouldn't. I mean, you might like it a little bit, but it's not like what you want. You know what I mean? Now if someone came up to you and talked to you and said, "Hey, Reinhold, how are you?" You could be the biggest musician in the world, but they're talking to you normal. You would respect that and appreciate that.
I can speak from personal experience as well. There are some people out there that it gets to them where they just change. They become a different person because
I don't like that.
It's an expectation. Oh my God. I'm not even going to drop names, but some big bands that I was fans of that I had the opportunity to meet. A little disappointing. Just saying.
Dude. Right? Didn't you, like, hate them? Like, not, you didn't.
It made me look at them differently.
Like,
I was always going to love their music and their contribution because it's had a big effect on me, but it was really disappointing meeting them and some of these people in person.
As people, they were like, eh. But as musicians, you're like, you're still good. But as a person, you know, I'm cool. I'm good.
Yeah, because, I mean, I understand there's a mystique when it comes to art, and people look up to these people. You know, I look up to musicians and artists and things like that because they're articulating and channeling things that not a lot of people can, so that we can all kind of find something and like find common ground for the few minutes that they're channeling this sort of energy. You know what I mean? We're all in the same place. We're all coming from these same emotions. We have these same feelings. You know,
that is the beauty of, like, for me personally, it's the metal, the hardcore scene, whatever it is, right? Like the alternative heavy genre, right? If you look out into those crowds, there's so many different people from different backgrounds. You got people that are like gay, you got trans, you got big buff like military dudes, right? You have chicks, you have I don't know, dude. Like, it's just like this whole black dudes, white dudes, Asian dudes. it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from or who you are, what race, nationality, what you identify as. Everyone's there. But they all relate to the same song, the same, lyrics of that night. Whatever's going on, right? Everyone's there to be on the same page, and that shit always makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at Summer Slaughter, that was a sold-out show. There was probably around 1,000 people there, and it's all people that you probably wouldn't see hanging out normally, but they all had one common ground.
To be there and listen to amazing music.
Exactly, and have that experience. And throughout the night, they were all fine with each other. And I don't know, that right there makes me happy as fuck.
And to dive a little bit more into that, back on 14 August for Summer Slaughter at 1720, Necronomicon, Carnifex, The Faceless, Cattle Decapitation, Throne of Tyranny, and then Rivers of Nile and Lorna Shore once again. Any particular moments that you recall where you were watching a band's performance and you were just taken aback, or you just thought you were thinking about wanting to top their performance, or it was just something that you recall from that show?
There's a couple moments. I'm gonna shout out my really good friends in Throne of Tyranny. They were we were the first band, they were the second band, and they absolutely fucking killed it. But no, when I watched Brand of Sacrifice, right, they're a Canadian band. It was their second tour ever, and they were the opening band for Summer Slaughter. And they had just hit a year of being a band. But anyways, their stage presence was dominating, right? Oh man, there's so many moments from that show. But anyways, so yeah, Brand of Sacrifice, they kind of own that shit. Rivers of Nile, have you listened to them before?
I'm just discovering them. A few of my bandmates are really into them. I just recently heard about them. I'm still kind of trying to articulate their sound. I don't really know what they sound like off the top of my head. Okay,
so they had a fucking, I think it was a violinist. No, sorry, saxophone or something like that, right? Yeah, One of the horn instruments. They had that motherfucker come out on stage with them. Well, the vocalist is he was spread out between the stage and the barrier, right? He was legs spread out, screaming, and they were all wearing button-down black shirts and had a fucking saxophone come out, dude. And that moment right there, I was side stage for that, and it was one of those I don't know, dude. I don't know how, I can't even describe how it made me feel, but it made me peaceful and calm. But he was screaming and they were playing super heavy music, but all of a sudden there's a saxophone on stage and he's just spread out, and it was rad to see that, the mixture of music. Necronomicon, watching them on stage. By the way, Necronomicon, a couple of their guys are the owners of 1720. So I'll just, throw that promotion in there. But they were just a crazy band to watch. That energy, I don't even know where it even comes from. How you have that much energy for 3 months on the road. But they're one of those bands that are out there doing everything with, they have no label. They're doing it all by themselves, and they're absolutely killing it. But if you've never seen them live, I recommend watching them. You might not be into the music. I don't care. It's not my biggest thing to listen to, but their stage presence is amazing. And now on to my favorite part of the night was Carnifex. I'm not a big like fan of listening to Carnifex, but the way they owned that stage that night was like my goals. You know what I mean? Like, they got onto that stage and owned it like it was nobody's fucking business. You know what I mean? So
I've always felt like there's kind of like been like a divide between those two camps, is Carnifex and Thy Art is Murder. Because I feel like I found out about Carnifex before I found out about Thy Art is Murder, but I'm sold on Thy Art is Murder.
Honestly, I wish I had some sort of recording of our new song to send you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to send it to you. It's not going to be on this little podcast, but I'm going to send it to you because you're going to fucking love it. It's super Thy Art is Murdery.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the vibe of it. Oh, man.
When I think of them, the one thing that I think of is like, in a good way, I just feel like it's really just saturated, really claustrophobic, really intense. Just the quality, like, production of those recordings, like, it's like kind of like a really old school feel. It just feels really like nasty. I don't know. It just feels real, like authentic to me. I don't know. They're pretty good for a bunch of Australians. I'm down with them.
You know what, dude? Not a lot of bands still have that like nitty gritty feel.
Yeah, everything's tight. Everything's really, really articulated too much, where it just seems like it's like perfect now in this like post Meshuggah world, you know.
Post Meshuggah world,
and it's true. I fucking love Meshuggah, but think about it. Meshuggah happened. That's what happened. Meshuggah happened.
You know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with bands sounding like super tight, especially when it comes down to recordings. Like, you better sound super tight.
Mm-hmm.
I think live shows, personally, that's where you're allowed to fuck up and kind of just do you, because people pay to come and watch a show. They don't pay to come and listen to the same shit that they have recorded on their CDs.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, yeah, like, people on albums, it's good to sound, like, you want to sound tight, but you don't want to sound, you know, too tight. You don't want to sound like it was forced in the studio.
All right, now I'm coming to an opinion-based question. All right, so in your experience working with bands, I feel like there's two trains of thought as far as from a band perspective, performance perspective, and a fan perspective. All right, so there are two trains of thought. So natural talent and practice. Have you ever seen a band and you just get this vibe from them, like no matter if they practiced or not, you just felt like this group of individuals, they just had natural talent and they just had good chemistry? Or are you opposed and you believe that it's hard work and practice?
Oh, man. I mean, of course there's natural talent. That's a dumbass question. But yes, you do need, like, hard work and dedication to, like, do anything in life. It doesn't matter whether it's music or whatever it is. You need dedication and practice. Practice makes perfect. But there's a band that's not around anymore, and I doubt you've heard of them. I mean, they've done some shit, but not enough. There's a band called Eye of Helix. And that band right there, I personally felt was just like natural talent. Like, they could probably go without practicing for months and just get up there and kill it. But generally speaking, yeah, you need, like, practice and dedication. Does that answer the question?
I feel like we're in agreement. As much as we would all like to believe that they're just people that have this natural talent and they're, you know, God's gift to the world.
Well, I mean, granted, at the same time, yes, people can just pick up certain things and do it, but then just because they can do it doesn't mean they're good at it right away. They have to continue to practice at it to get good at it. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's a mix. It's a mix. You have to have that combo of practice and talent.
All right. Back to a fractured thought. You guys were promoting some merchandise. You guys had a T-shirt design that there was a wizard with a semicolon, and I understand that that's something that you hold dear as far as mental health awareness and kind of overcoming adversity. Personally, I've kind of like seen your testimony. I know a little bit about that, but for those who are kind of having issues or they're currently struggling with personal demons, what are some words of wisdom that you would like impart onto them?
Well, let's see here. Words of wisdom. The best advice I have, and it's kind of cliche, is just don't give up. Even in your darkest times, you know what I mean? Like, I've personally attempted suicide multiple times. As you know, and a lot of people do know, I mean, anyone who's a fan of the band knows, is, you know, I had my struggles with, like, drug addiction and all that. But what I always tell people is, even when you think like this is it, I'm done, I'm depressed, whatever it is, there's always something better coming in your way. You know what I mean? When you feel like you're down, it's so hard to speak about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not, but it is. You know what I mean? Like, what I do when I get depressed is I try to find something, whatever it is, that's going to make me happy. Whether it be just a simple song or taking my dog for a fucking walk and watching how happy he is looking at the world. You know what I mean? He might be happy looking at the world. I might not be. But because I'm watching him be happy, it's going to, you know, inadvertently affect me. But sorry, I just lit a cigarette.
Yeah.
I put it. Hold on, real quick. I put it on my Facebook and my Instagram, I believe. But I put, no matter what you think, you're worth it, right? And that's one thing I want people to know is no matter what you think, you are worth it.
Which is something that would surprise a lot of people. You know, people always get this sense of like doom and gloom from like a lot of bands that would be identified under these genres that are associated with so much aggression and power, when really these are some of the only genres of music where you would find people talking about topics like personal struggle, addiction, personal demons, things like that. So,
bro, fucking Fit for an Autopsy, their first single from this album was talking about addiction. Like, in the video, I don't know if you saw the video.
Yeah, it's a great music video. The one with the girl, she's looking into the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really great music video, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of the video is. I gotta look it up real quick.
But see, you know what I'm talking about. But that video and that song is talking about like addiction, like the chick's shooting up something. You know what I mean? And their whole style of music is talking about like world problems. It's talking about personal problems, and I love that. You know what I mean? Who is it? The Acacia Strand. They actually just got like under a bunch of heat because of a shooting that happened in Ohio because the shooter had one of their sweaters on, and everyone's trying to like blame the band for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the band's like super against that. You know what I mean? They're not for like, they're for hate. Like a lot of their shit is people are shit, but like love yourself. They're kind of iffy back and forth, but a lot of their shit, like their vocalist is, he's like straight edge as fuck, like no drugs, no alcohol, you know, no nothing. And he tries to promote, at least at shows, like loving each other, but then the music kind of sounds otherwise.
Yeah.
But anyways.
This music is just it's a vehicle to talk about these certain topics that aren't necessarily talked about in other conversations. And I feel like people get a sense of reassurance or comfort when they have someone to blame for a lot of the world's problems. When people, artists in this scene it's just a commentary. They're not pushing an agenda. There are some people that are here to push an agenda, but I feel like there are way less than many people would like speculate.
No, everyone speculates that the genre is pushing murder and hate and drug addiction and partying when they're pushing the exact opposite.
Mm.
You know what I mean? The reason we hid that semicolon on there was, again, just to promote mental health awareness, you know what I mean? Because not a lot of people know that the semicolon means that was, there's people that have it tattooed on them, but it's for the pause in your life, like where your life could have ended, but it didn't. Just like the sentence could have ended there, but it didn't. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the big thing in all of the lyrics that I'm writing for the band is, with this band versus CDP was more like partying, and I wrote a lot of angry stuff. This band, I'm writing more about me and what I went through, but I'm not writing about me, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm telling stories that I know to be true.
So would you say that, like, your headspace for writing with Aft, you're coming from more of a place of, like, introspection?
Yeah. There's one song that's going to be released onto the EP. I mean, we play it live. It's called Set Free. It was named after the church that my Uncle Rex used to go to. And it's written about him and, like, the shit that he taught me throughout life. There's another song called Maladjusted, and it's about what the outside world sees in someone who's, like, addicted to drugs and alcohol, or even if they're not addicted to drugs and alcohol, but they're addicted to that, like, kind of lifestyle. It's a story about what other people see and not what people like myself saw. So I'm writing a story of, like, what my mom saw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. I just want the world to see a different view on people such as myself.
And for people that are kind of coming into their own, like, learning how to articulate their thoughts and express themselves, like, what's some advice that you would give to people? Like, personally, you, like, what helps you kind of channel these thoughts, or like, what are some methods that you use or techniques that you use to kind of write lyrics or get into a headspace where you're in a creative mode?
Well, for lyrics, I mean, what helps me the most is I will listen to a song a million times over. Like, when the band writes it, I won't write lyrics to it until I have the song fully completed, and then I'll record it. I bought, like, a little recorder I take to practice, and I'll record it, and then I'll sit in my garage by myself away from everybody and just listen to it over and over again on repeat. And then I take whatever feeling it comes, right? But what I started to do was I stopped giving a fuck what people had to think about what I had to say. You know what I mean? So whatever came to my mind, whatever feelings I got from the music, I wrote. You know what I mean? I wanted to write my heart out because I had to release what was going on in my brain. Everything that I went through, everything that I currently go through, whatever it is, right? I needed to write it out. And that's one thing I know. It's not just me. There's a lot of people out there that are afraid to fully say what's going on because they're afraid of, like, the bite back. They're afraid of, people's responses to their shit. My biggest thing is to tell people to stop being afraid. Just let it out. You know what I mean? Because what I've started to realize after just releasing everything out there is I started to realize that I'm not the only one. You know what I mean?
Which is the hardest thing for people to do, I feel like, is to not only articulate ideas, but to share them with other people because of, there's the potential for criticism. But I feel like with anything in life, that's just a risk you have to take,
I think that comes with maturity, is just realizing that, like, if someone's going to fucking judge you for something that you had to live through, they didn't have to live through it, you had to. And if they're going to judge you for that, then they can go fuck themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but, they can go fuck themselves. If you're going to judge me for something that I did to myself and I had to live through, then why are you here in front of me? You know what I mean? Go away. You know what I mean? That's what people need to realize, is they need to stop worrying about what the world thinks of them and worry about how they feel about themselves. And personally, and I know it's not just for me, it's for a lot of people out there, writing things out on the paper helps tremendously. Like in sobriety and shit like that, people, that's like one of the big things, is to write it out. You know what I mean? Take what's going on or what happened and write it down. And so what I did was basically took my fucking the 12-step programs, of course, hence the name. There's 12 steps. The fourth step is writing it out. So I basically took all the shit that I wrote out in the fourth step and started writing it into songs. You know what I mean? Because fuck it, why not?
And it's just, I feel like it's still hard for a lot of people to get to a point where they're ready to articulate things, because I feel like it's either they're afraid to let go of things or open up to people to face criticism. But I guess that's a reality for a lot of people. And just, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is. It's a gnarly world for a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be, but it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get my two little sisters to understand that concept of just shut up your brain and let it out. You know what I mean? You don't have to be
within reason. Okay. This is where I feel like people give a bad reputation to people that want the best for them, is they feel like they have the license to go do whatever they want to release those demons.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Nope. So it has to be within reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Which brings me to another question. And for other people that are into this scene of music, playing, going to live shows and live performances, the only thing I look forward to, and you can probably guess this if you've spoken with me personally, slam dancing. And I know that, you're, for slam dancing, so you got to convince me. So this is a part or a segment that I talk. It says for it or hell no. You got to give me a little background on slam dancing. You got to fight this and convince me, because I'm not sold on it. I once saw the Black Dahlia murder recently, and I just saw Mushroom Head, and that's the one thing that kills live shows for me, is slam dancing.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this, young man. Okay? So, back in my day, slam dancing and we call it hardcore dancing, but whatever you want to call it, that's fine. It was different than it is now. It was more of an art form when I was growing up. It was more like everyone was kind of in unison with their picking up change. They were doing the death stomp and the windmills and the spin kicks, but they weren't hitting anybody.
Really?
And if they ever got, yes, really. And if they ever got close to hitting somebody, or if they accidentally hit somebody, it was immediately stop. They tried to stay away from the outside. And now it's become this whole crowd bashing bullshit, and I fucking hate that.
So crowd killing, like that wasn't really a thing a few years ago. And that's the only thing that kills me now about going to live shows, and that literally scares people away from going to shows now. And it's like,
hold on, I wouldn't say a few years ago, because a few years ago, yes, there was still crowd bashing. I'm talking like when I was younger and going to shows, like early 2000s. Like it wasn't like that wasn't a thing. And then the pitting crews became a thing. Like they wanted to take like gangbanging from the street and bring it to hardcore shows and like to crews, and they still have a bunch. Like there's a bunch of crews that go out to shows just to crowd bash and fight people, and that shit makes
that's literally what I was talking about in my first episode. I was like, I have this theory. There are people that just go to shows to what you said? You said crew. What'd you say?
Crowd bash?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yes, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, that kills live shows. And it just scares people away from going to shows. Because it's a thing. Well, yeah, there are people that don't want to go to shows because of that.
Well, what's crazy is like they'll go and punch someone in the fucking face and then go, "Why is our scene dying, bro?" Like, what do you mean? You just punched that kid in the fucking face. That person you punched, that might have been their first show, right? And if that was their first show and you punched them in the face, do you think they're going to want to come back?
Yeah. My first experience, like seeing slam dancing in person, I went and saw Suicide Silence. They co-headlined with All Shall Perish. This was back in 2010, 2011, so this was with Mitch. And,
that was probably pretty intense.
Dude, that was my first time. I had checked out their Peter Griffin demos, like way back in the day when they just started back in Riverside. And so I knew about them.
I miss that album so much.
Yeah, and I think that they were doing, it wasn't The Cleansing, it was No Time to Bleed or something like that. I can't remember what the name of that album was. But they were intense live. Yeah. Yeah. They were crazy live. Like, I didn't even go to see them. I went to see, I remember who else was playing that show. It was a third band. But it was the first time I saw them and Suicide Silence, and they were ridiculous. Like, that was like a eye-opening experience. But anyways, I was there, and this was the first time I'd ever heard of like crowd killing. I knew about traditional moshing, right? Like open hand moshing. And there was this girl that was like standing in a pit with us, and this girl was like probably half my size. She was just like a little tattooed up chick. And this guy, this like huge bald dude, ripped dude, like comes in, destroys this girl. Didn't push her or anything. It wasn't like he just neglected the fact that she was there, standing there, minding her own business. Went out of his way to take this girl out. We were tripped the fuck out, man. Like, I'd never seen. That was my first experience, and I was like, what? This guy was on a mission to destroy this, like, little midget girl. Like, I was just tripped out. I don't know. That kind of killed shows for me, too. I was like, people come to do this shit? Like, I don't get it. It's like Fight Club. No. You know, it's like Fight Club, but for non-willing participants. I'm not trying to scare people away from going to shows. Not all shows are like that, but there are some. And that's the thing, like club owners and security, you know, it's stepped up now, and a lot of venue owners don't really want any part of that because of liability. You know what I mean? People get hurt inside of venues, and they come into question, you know, because they're not protecting their patrons.
There's certain venues that get shut down because of the fact that people not only hurt like the patrons, they hurt the venue itself. Like they'll go in there and break the walls down. And they're grabbing fucking tables. I've been watching videos on like Facebook, and I'm granted I haven't seen it personally live yet, but I don't want to. And like they're grabbing like tables and chairs and throwing them around the venue, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why are you grabbing a table and throwing it through the middle of the mosh pit instead of having fun? Where did you go wrong? Like, what, you came here to enjoy, like, you're like, oh, this is my favorite band. You know what I'm going to do tonight to my favorite band? I'm going to grab a fucking table and hit someone in the head with it. Why? You know what I mean? Do you need counseling? Like, what do we need to do to help you?
Big shout out to Chris, if Chris is listening.
You know, I don't know, dude. Like with us, like we're pretty fucking heavy at some points, I guess. And we've had like pitting crews come out to. Unfortunately, they knocked some dude out cold at one of our last shows. Well, like a couple shows ago. And it was one of my friends from high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he came out and he was just standing there, not even in the pit. He was just standing there at one of like the tables with his girlfriend, and dude came out of nowhere and sucker punched him. And I will say right now, we don't stand for that shit. You know what I mean? If you're gonna come out to one of our shows, come out for the music, not for the violence.
And sort your shit out. Don't go to a show within reason. Go to a show, have fun. Don't infringe on other people's rights or freedoms to be at a show and enjoy that show as well. That's the only thing. That's the only place I'm trying to come from is if I want to go and enjoy the show, I just want to go and enjoy the show.
If you're in the pit and you get hit, that to me is like, whatever. You were in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's a push pit, circle pit, whatever the fuck it is. If you're in the pit and you get hit, then, you know what I mean, that's okay to me. Now, if you're outside of the pit, like on the circle outside, and someone runs up to the corner and just starts crowd bashing people, I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think if you got accidentally hit in the pit, that's fine. Intentional hitting is stupid and should forever be condemned to somewhere. I don't know.
It still blows my mind when I see that, but I don't know. I guess I come from a place that's more traditional or old school. I guess I'm like not too hip to the scene. I was just tripped out. I feel like it's only been going on for like a past few years, but maybe I'm crazy.
You used to be long haired and
hey man, I would still have long hair, but the maintenance is just too much maintenance.
I mean, dude, your hair was fucking long, bro.
Yeah, bro. I was going through an identity crisis when I cut it. I didn't even know who I was anymore.
Yeah, you cut it and went to the fucking military. So.
Hey man, I had a calling. You know what I mean? Now I'm transitioning out. I mean, it's whatever.
Hey, dude, I'm not knocking it, bro. I'm just having a conversation with
bro. You know what I did not know? I did not know your dad was in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wait, you didn't know, or you didn't know that I didn't know that he was in?
I didn't know that you didn't know.
Oh no, yeah, he was in HM. I was totally tripped out. I guess he did like 2 years or something, but like I was tripped out that he was in. Totally different back when he was in, but.
Well, I mean, you do know. I mean, since we're going off subject here, you do know like majority of our family has been in.
A lot, yeah, a lot.
Yeah, so.
Because we're all nuts, and we don't make, thought out decisions. It's whatever, man.
Hey, dude, it works.
Pays the bills, man. I can't complain. I'm thankful I had the opportunity to be here. If anyone's listening,
can I do a shameless plug real quick?
Dude, plug all you want, man. This is where you plug.
I'm so excited about this, but so my drummer, he has a friend that wanted to trade tickets for the Fit for an Autopsy show.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to trade. This is gonna sound crazy, but not really, because price-wise it's different. But he wanted 4 Fit for an Autopsy tickets for 2 tickets to go see Tool at the Staples Center. So I'm sending my parents on Sunday to go see Tool, but they're going to be in a private suite with like free food and drinks. And I just thought about it right now. I was kind of stoked about it. My dad was so weirded out when I told him I was going to give him tickets to go see Tool in a fucking in a suite. He was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? Explain to me how this is happening." I'm like, "Well, Dad, my band is getting tickets for you to go see that." And he's like, "Huh, okay." You know what I mean? Like he's so against me being in a band, it's ridiculous. But when I do shit like that for him, he's like, "All right, well, I guess you can stay in the band for this time period."
Oh my god. Who's doing? Do you know who's doing support at that show? Because I know that they came through here up in Hampton. They wanted like $120 a ticket, and they were doing
dude.
Primus. I think Primus was open.
Dude,
I can't remember.
the tickets for this show for the suite. I'll just say this like I'm.
It's probably like $1,000 or something.
Yeah, it was like $600 a ticket or some shit like that for the suite. I'm getting both tickets for like all together collectively $80 because I'm just trading for the show. And the band that's hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. The band that's opening is Killing Joke.
Oh my god, Killing Joke?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know who they are.
You never heard of Killing Joke?
I've heard of them as of like
right now.
A week ago, yeah.
Damn, I'd kill to be a fly on the fucking wall of that show. Have you checked out New Tool?
I've heard 2 songs off the new album, and I couldn't get into it.
Oh my, you're not the first person that said that. I feel like a lot of people feel like they sound more like a Perfect Circle, or they're more listener friendly. I don't know. I don't think they're trying to bring in a different demographic. I feel like they're too late in the game for that. But
granted, I was never like a huge Tool fan. Yeah. I mean, my chick, she's really into it. So that's cool. She's been into Tool forever. She's actually mad at me. She's not mad that I'm giving my parents the tickets. She would have just preferred to go. You know what I mean?
Because I feel like you don't get into a band like Tool or Neurosis. They're not a single-oriented band. You know what I mean? It's an album listening experience, or it's an overall listening experience. So I feel like a live setting for them is like appropriate because it's like you're paying for an experience. I feel like it's kind of hard for people to get into them because of that. You have to invest time to listen to a band like that.
Time and dedication, my friend.
It's beautiful music though, man. I don't know. I have this like resurgence for like Tool. I like knew about them when I was younger, but I've gotten like a whole new appreciation for them. Like just re-listening to a lot of their stuff. So
I think I want to dive in and try. I mean, I like Schism, which is the song that everyone likes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, dude. What do I have to lose? You know what I mean? Like, why not listen to them?
Yeah. If you want to listen to stuff like that, if you go back and listen to like their older stuff, Anima, Undertow, any of those albums, it's like start those albums out and you just listen to the whole thing and just make it one listening experience. And it kind of makes more sense when you do it like that instead of breaking them up into songs.
I mean, listening to like part of their music, I feel like I have to be on acid to like get into it. That's just me, but like the way they sound, it sounds like you need to be on acid to like get into it. So I don't know.
It's just unconventional, like them and Neurosis too. Like I don't know if you ever heard of Neurosis or not, but they're this.
I've never even heard of them. But...
Yeah, Neurosis. They're a little older. I mean, they kind of started out as a hardcore band, but then they became more progressive and experimental. They're like that Roadburn sound. You know Roadburn Festival? You remember that?
No, not at all.
It's like stoner doom music. Neurosis is really big, like in that scene.
Doom. My guitarist Matt was trying to get me into like doom metal. Well, I went and met up with them at like a doom metal show.
Who'd you guys go see?
And, Sixes or something like that. Fuck. I don't know. It was some band that was on tour, but they were from Orange County. It was like the last day of tour. And I think they were called Sixes. I don't know. But doom is that's an interesting type of metal.
It's a listener experience. It really is, man. That's just not something for casual listening. It's you're paying for an experience. You listen to something like Bong Ripper, or you listen to Weed Eater, or any of that stuff. It's just you're paying for like sensation, or you're just there for an experience.
Well, I can tell you this much. Like, their live show and like the feel in the venue was cooler than their music would have been on recording. 100%. Like the music wasn't anything I would ever drive away in my car listening to, but like their live show was like something I would go back and see again because of the feel. You know what I mean? The feel of the music was something great. Real quick, let me ask you, how's your band?
How's my band as far as what shows we have coming up?
Yeah, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys have music coming out? Like,
Okay.
I don't.
So we're kind of in a weird place right now. We have a lot of material written, and we're still writing more material. We get into a room, we write. You know what I mean? And we all come from different backgrounds. We have different music preferences. We all like heavy music, but we all like a few different things. So we all contribute kind of on different fronts. We're doing pre-production right now for a lot of our stuff. We have like 6 singles. We were thinking about either splitting them up or putting them on an EP. The only thing we're not all unanimously like deciding on is finding an engineer. We all have different engineer preferences who we want to work with. And
dude, that is the struggle.
Yeah, because we all have kind of a different delivery. People, and this is something I disagree with people about too. CD or physical formats. I'm all about QR codes and physical merchandise on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's hard to get people to buy merchandise to begin with. I have to give you something with that. Like, I was all about, I feel like, I've never seen this before, but I feel like I'm kind of giving away something. It's like, I had this idea of putting a QR code on a T-shirt where you bought the T-shirt, you got a free download, or you could share the download with other people.
I've never seen that. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, have like on like the sleeve or something, like somewhere where it's not taking up the shirt, but like it's there. That's not bad at all. Like, and don't worry, that's your idea. You keep it.
Oh man, no, I would love people to use that because I feel like QR codes are on everything. I just never understand why it's not. You don't see bands advertising it like, with stickers or anything like that. Like, hey, come to our website, scan this QR code. It takes you to all of our streaming platforms, and you can pick.
Out here, it's usually on like cards. We do that all the time out here.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen a lot of bands like you'll buy a shirt and they'll give you like a card with it, and the card has like the little QR code or whatever, or like, you can download the album straight from the card. You know what I mean? You just scan it.
Yeah. I feel like
the shirt idea. I thought the shirt idea would be pretty rad, or a sticker, because then you can just stick it up everywhere, and people will just a lot of people, without even like really thinking about it too much or questioning it, they'll just go and scan the QR code to see what it is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
When it comes to merchandise, I feel like you kind of have to be like innovative with things now. Like, that's just with anything in general. Like, you kind of have to have a little bit of marketing sense when it comes to things. Not trying to sound like too business savvy or anything like that. I don't want to be like that, but there has to be some appeal. There has to be something different. And especially too, this was what I was asking about too with, you were talking about Big Cartel. I'm not necessarily asking you to talk specifically about them. But I can never understand this. Do you have a distribution agreement with them, or do they get a portion of your overall merchandise sales?
No, it's free for the first 5 items.
But they get a portion of your merchandise sales?
No.
Because I can never understand that. Because 20 years ago, if you were to tell a band, hey, you're going to get royalties for your recordings because we own your original masters, and we're getting a portion of your merchandise, people would flip the fuck out. They'd be like, we're paying for the merchandise. Why are you getting a cut? And we're distributing it ourselves.
Well, yeah, that was the bullshit behind labels. That's why I was saying earlier, fuck labels. I mean, labels are cool. It just depends on what they're offering. You know what I mean?
But what can a label offer these days? I could never understand that. A business loan that anyone can go get?
That's legit. So, labels are cool for people that want to be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And want the free money up front. It's not free though. You know what I mean? It's a loan. But yeah, people will take labels all day long because all they do is they distribute and promote. But because of the fact that social media is the way it is, you can promote yourself. You know what I mean? You don't need a label behind you. Not saying that at some point you don't take the label, but with labels, what you have to do is you have to put in the work yourself first to make yourself more valuable. You know what I mean? So where they're not trying to take everything from you.
And I feel like if you have a commodity, and I don't mean to say commodity, I feel like if you're offering something that is unique, people are going to seek you out for that.
Yeah, it just takes time. You know what I mean? Especially with something that's unique. That's one thing a lot of, like, especially with, you know, bands, right? They don't see that. They don't understand that it takes time for people to catch on. You know what I mean? So if you're going with cookie cutter, everyone's going to jump on it because they already know it. You know what I mean? It's cookie cutter. It's like everything else. People will enjoy it. But when you try to do something new, something different, something unique, it takes time for people to catch on. You know what I mean? When you're trying to, I'm just gonna use my old band as a fucking reference, but CDP, super party style band. Like the shit we did on stage was just weird and like out of nowhere and ridiculous. At first, people weren't about it, but then they started to catch on. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's like a big thing. People give up. They go like a few months and see they don't see anyone catching on right away, but give it like a year or so and all of a sudden it's the new hit craze. Be original. You know what I mean? Be original, be unique. Fuck the crowds.
And I feel like that's a hard reality that a lot of people, I can't necessarily speak from experience. I mean, I'm just starting doing this, but you heard about a band like Pantera. When they got their final lineup, they were hitting the same circuit clubs in their zip code for 7 years before they even got offered their initial, record deal. So it's not an overnight thing. And I think we're past the day of like record deals and these big bands. I feel like Mastodon, like a band like Mastodon, those were the last giants of our generation. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like I feel like we're back in the 1910s or 20s where it's like, we're going to release singles. Dude, you laugh. I swear to God. We're going to release singles and it's going to be live bands and you're going to buy merch. We're going to have releases, but it's not going to be album format. It's going to be, hey, check out these singles, or we released a batch of singles.
Well,
and they're on streaming platforms.
What's funny about that, yeah, is like a lot of bands out here, the technique that they're going with right now is let's just release 7 singles in a row. Let's release a 7 track album. It's going to be 7 singles in a row.
I feel like it's kind of smart too, because it's like, think about it. An album is it's a construct that we're used to, and like with that, everything, there has to be continuity. Like there has to be a theme. It has to be connected somehow. But if you do all these singles, they can all be different. They don't have to be necessary. They can be loosely connected. They're going to sound similar because it's the same band, but
it's not the same storyline.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. No, Carlos, our new bassist, was saying like, hey, we have the 5 songs that we're releasing on the EP. Why don't we just release all 5 as separate singles? Because that's what his other band, Within Reach, they're releasing a bunch of singles right now. You know what I mean? Because they released an album a couple of years ago, and now their new album, I guess they're just going to start releasing the whole album as singles one by one, which isn't a bad idea. You know what I mean? nowadays it's all about keeping people interested.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part. You have to have content 24/7 to keep people interested in what you're doing. You know what I mean?
And that was
by content... Oh, go ahead.
That, speaking of content, too, I had a hard time finding... I was surprised. You guys don't have a Bandcamp.
No, I don't. Fuck Bandcamp, dude. I haven't used that shit in a couple of years.
But it's a good platform. There's a good
I'm not
market
saying
for
it's
people.
Not, and when I say fuck Bandcamp, I mean fuck Bandcamp for me. No, it works, dude, and so does like all the other. There's what is the other one?
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, yeah, that's it. All those SoundCloud rappers. I mean, they're blowing up overnight just by mumbling. You know what I mean? I might go down that route. You know what I mean? That's
Dude, it's a great platform, though.
It is. It is. You know, I never got the hang of like Bandcamp and SoundCloud and all that.
Are you guys going to be using YouTube and Instagram to kind of like push your guys' singles? Is that what you're saying that you're going to do then?
Yeah. So what I've realized, all my marketing shit that I've like come up with over the last few years, that it's been working. You know, don't get me wrong. But I took some stuff from here's another plug, Pinup Artist Management, right? Like they managed a lot of bands, and they managed my old band, and one of their old managers, which is also my boss, is the one who's like behind the scenes on our shit. But I take all their stuff, and anyways, Instagram and YouTube and Facebook are really good for promoting like the singles and the videos. You know, I'm currently trying to figure out how to get in tighter with what is it, like there's like Chugcore and Beheading the Traitor. You've heard of those, like YouTube.
You're talking about the channels?
pages, right? Yeah. People release their shit on those channels all the time, and within like a day they get like 16 to 32,000 views. You know what I mean? So it's also about using, like, there's different content creators that use like YouTube and Facebook, like if they do like reaction videos and shit like that.
Oh, you're talking, yeah, influencers.
Yeah. So using those people is you know, nowadays is like part of the trend.
And I feel like you gotta be smart about it, because I know if we're getting influencers hitting us up, and it's weird because they're way out of their element. I feel like we're getting people that are like, they're influencers for like clothes or makeup or things like that, and they're like, hey, maybe we can work something. You have to be smart about it. I feel like you can't do things. You can't go beyond your realm. You know what I mean?
No, I mean you can. It's just not going to work out very well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's being smart. I mean, with music in general, it's business. I mean, it's music, but it just depends on what side you're looking at. Like for me, this is business. You know what I mean? Like what we're trying to do. So I'm not going to just jump at any person that slides in the fucking DMs trying to collaborate, because you don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? You're not going to go with an influencer that's doing, like you said, makeup and all that. You're not going to jump with them. There's no point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But like I've been talking to different people that do like reactions and shit like that, because I talk to them because they do get the things that we want. Like they get like high views, high, you know, subscriptions to shit. You know what I mean? We want, I don't know, man. We're trying to find people that are gonna help us get the views on our shit, because at the end of the day, like, I don't even give a fuck about the money involved in music. I want to get the music out there for people to relate to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have the answers though, because I feel like in order to have more platforms to kind of like bring awareness for a subject, I feel like you need to like reverse engineer things. Like, hey, if I want to brush shoulders with you, I'm gonna market things for you before I ask you to market them for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do a favor for you, not really expecting anything. Therefore, like, people can kind of associate us together. And the worst that happens is they'll reach out to me and tell me, hey, I don't want you endorsing my product. Can you, like, not say that you use my shit, thanks? You're, like, turning people away from me.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be the worst thing that happens.
You know what's great about this? I know we're doing, like, a little podcast and whatnot, but at the same time, I'm just kind of talking to my cousin, and I don't know, I almost forgot that, you know, you're recording the shit.
Bro, I can cut most of this interview out if you don't. Is that what you're trying to say? You don't want me to share your secrets? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no,
like,
that's
fuck,
fine.
I just spilled my guts. Now the whole fucking scene is going to turn against me.
No one...
They're going to be like, I'm just business savvy.
No one's going to fucking turn away.
Well, fuck them.
And for me to not sound like a dick but sound like a dick, people were waiting to see what was going to happen. Because, like, you know, with CDP, I went out and partied like crazy and then relapsed and went back down, like, the road of drugs again. And when I came back, people were waiting to see what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And when I came out with this project, they were, like, excited. Like, what was this? What was going to happen now? And I don't give a shit, dude. It is what it is. It's not about money. It's not about fame. At this point in my life, dude, like, it's about...
just having a healthy outlet, probably.
Yeah, in a sense, yes, 100%. But it's about having the healthy outlet while trying to help somebody else.
And I'm not sure if you want to talk more about this or not, but I feel like since this is kind of like trending in the news of like the heavy metal hard rock community, I know that like James Hetfield, he relapsed recently, or he didn't relapse, but he went back into rehab. I think maybe that has to do with like kind of being involved in the music scene. I felt like this has kind of been coming a few years over them, like getting back, and I don't know if you knew about them branding the blackened whiskey brand. I don't know if you knew about that or not.
Yeah. Hold on. Hey, so I know we're on the I know we're on the podcast, but I want you to say hi to my mom, Emily, or my mom and Emily at the same time. Everyone, this is Reinhold.
Hey.
Hi, Reinhold.
Long time no talk.
Yeah, you sound like Josh. I thought he was talking to himself.
My mom and Emily both thought I was talking to myself.
He is. He just got me on the phone right now.
Yeah. You sound the same?
They thought you were talking to the dog?
No, they thought I was talking to myself. Like, I was talking to a recording of myself. Like, my mom and Emily both said that we sound the same one. Yeah. So, you know, that could be either a good thing or a bad thing.
Bro, we have voices for radio. That's what that means.
That's fucking crazy.
Dude, you're meant to be a broadcaster.
But yeah, so back to sorry. You said they had the brand of whiskey. What? Which one? What's it?
It's called Blackened. But like, I was always tripped out that they would actually even brand whiskey because like he had, they had all had like problems with alcohol or whatever. But
didn't they kick out their fucking one of their members for being like an alcoholic or something?
No, James Hetfield, he committed himself in like 2000 because he was an alcoholic.
Well, I know that. And then isn't he back in rehab right now?
Yeah, he committed himself again.
Yeah, so, I mean, I have no hard feelings against it. Like, I'm not a big fan, but, you know, I honestly think, like, good for him that he's back in treatment. Because, you know, dude, shit's rough.
I mean, do you, like, ever get to a point where, like, you can be because I know people that are like personally struggling with some forms of addiction right now, and I feel like they get to a point where they like they can make their monkey on their back content, just like they feel like it's always going to be there. Would you say that's true? Like you get to a point where you can like feed your addiction like minimally, but it's always kind of in the background, or can you completely beat addiction?
You're never going to completely leave it, no. That shit will always be there, but yes, you can keep it mellow. You know what I mean?
So would you say like you have to like substitute things? Like, hey, like I have this predisposition to be like this, like I want to do this, like I have to find something to keep me busy and something else so I don't think about it.
People turn so they go from like drug or alcohol addiction to like working out like nonstop, or they turn it into like their hobbies become their life. You know what I mean? Like they stop doing drugs and alcohol, and now they're focused on building their cars, whatever it is, right? Like they focus on something else, and that's kind of what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, and I will say this a million times over, I'm not an advocate for AA or NA. I think they're great for people trying to get sober, but like, you know, a lot of people commit themselves to that. That becomes their new obsession. And, you know, I tell people not to make that their new obsession, but to make other hobbies and positive outlets their new obsession, like music or exercise or, you know, like cars, or like I was just saying, or whatever it is. But yeah, you have to find something to kind of take it over. Because you're never going to get rid of that obsession in your mind.
So you would say like a 12-step program helps you get your legs out under you, but then it's you that kind of has to do the legwork to find an outlet.
Correct. Yeah, you have, like, I am 100% like an advocate for starting with like the 12-step programs, but then from there branching out in your life. You know what I mean? Like, you take what you're learning there and apply it to your life and find something that's going to, like, fill your time and make you happy. So, you know what I mean? You don't want to be... I mean, who wants to get sober just to sit in a room?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true. Because, I mean, what's the quality of life that you're talking about there?
The quality of life kind of goes down. Cause, I mean, wouldn't you want to just be on the streets partying and running around and being reckless? Because that at least has more, like... and adrenaline to it than sitting in a room, you know, every night of the week for hours.
And that's something I feel like, too, I've heard before is like people that kind of like are suffering from an addiction, I feel like they kind of have a hustle to them. Because like you're in between fixes in a sense, like you're looking, you know what I mean? So I feel like if you are able to beat an addiction, you have a lot of potential to find something else that you can be extremely proficient at.
Well, I mean, yeah, dude, like, I mean, I'll just say it right here. I really don't care. I've spent so much time, like, on the streets finding money and places to get, like, things such as, you know, heroin, right? Like, on the streets, time and energy, and I have now turned that time and energy towards other things, right? Like, most people that are out there doing the stupid shit can now, you know, use that motivation and determination to do better things. You know what I mean? Aside from sitting in a room for 2 hours at a time.
And for people that may be listening, like, don't know, like, are there any, can you personally vouch for any resources that people can look into to kind of, like, help them access a 12-step program or kind of begin their pursuit of their addictions?
Well, anyone like looking for any kind of help, there's always 211. 211 will point you in the direction. Like if you're out there still in active addiction, if you call 211, they'll literally like connect you to different detoxes or treatment centers to help you get yourself together, as well as just going online, like Google searching AA meetings near me, or if you're not into just like the AA and you want to do more like faith-based, you can go to Celebrate Recovery, which is like the faith-based version of 12 Steps, which 12 Step is faith-based, but it's different. Like if you want to go to church and do AA, they have it. You know what I mean? They have it everywhere.
Celebrate Recovery, is that a .org or is that a website?
No, you just type in Celebrate Recovery near me. Same with AA. You know, with Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, you know what I mean? I mean, there's so many different anonymous meetings, but yeah, AA and NA, they both have websites. Celebrate Recovery, I don't know if they have a website. Usually it's held at every church. I mean, a lot of like NA and AA meetings are held at churches as well, but it's a different meeting at the church. And it's not going off of the AA book. It's more just like it's like more of like a Bible study for addiction, which it's actually really rad. I've done it. You know what I mean? I've done the whole smorgasbord of recovery stuff, and I don't know, man. There's so much out there for people who are celebrating. So many resources out there for people who are dealing with addiction. You know, all it takes is going on your phone or just making a phone call. So again, 211 is the best number to call for those things.
All right. Well, I feel like we're at a really good stopping point, and I have gotten you to do a 2.5-hour podcast. And I feel like people are tripped out when they see the length of these podcasts. First one was 3 hours. This one's 2.5 hours. And that's the beauty of streaming content onto YouTube.
Hold on. Where the fuck did you just get 2.5 hours from?
It's been 2.5 hours.
No, it's been 1 hour and 49 minutes.
It's been 2.5 hours.
Dude, my phone says 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Oh, my clock on this DAW says 2 hours, 37 minutes.
Look at your phone.
2 hours, whatever. Anyways. All right. So, okay, 2 more show plugs. All right, so October 26th, Apple Valley, California at... What was the venue?
Forte. It was called Forte.
Forte?
Forte.
All right. November 8th, supporting Fit for an Autopsy, Rivers of Nile, Lorna Shore, and Dyscarnate at 1720. That's in LA, right?
Yeah. It's 1720. I think it's East 16th Street or West 16th. I don't know. 1720.
All right. Everyone out there, A Fractured Thought, go catch them November 8th, October 26th. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube. Actually, no, wait. Are you guys on Spotify?
We're on everything.
Except Bandcamp and SoundCloud. But after this, I mean, hey, whatever. Look for links below attached to check out A Fractured Thought and check out their new single, Double Standard, streaming now.